welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you live from Miami at Exchange, an ETF experience where we're meeting with the top thought leaders and innovators in the ETF space. Joining me for this segment, we have Ric Edelman, founder of DACFP, and we're going to take a look at what's next in technology and the investment revolution. Ric, it is great to see you again. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Great to be with you, Jill. Thanks so much.
Why is it so key to show advisors why blockchain technology is revolutionary and how it's going to really alter the way we create wealth?
Because this is the first new asset class we've had in 150 years. The last time we had a new asset class was the discovery of oil in the 1850s. And look how transformative that has been for the planet. This is the same thing. We haven't seen anything like this since the invention of the internet. And it's going to have the opportunity for wealth creation on an unprecedented scale, unseen since oil. So advisors need to acknowledge this. They need to recognize that this technology is here to stay, that it's going to alter the way commerce is conducted on a global scale.
And when we think about crypto and digital assets, how can advisors incorporate that into client portfolios and effectively educate them on it?
It's remarkably easy today, which I couldn't say even as recently as 2 or 3 years ago. But nowadays, there are so many different ways that you can engage. However you run your practice, if you like to trade individual stocks, if you prefer to use ETFs, if you enjoy futures, if you're predominantly focused in the retirement market like IRAs, if you like to engage in private placements on behalf of accredited investors, all of these opportunities exist in this new asset class category, in many cases only in the past year or so. So for advisors who are saying it's too difficult, too cumbersome, too risky, that's old school thinking. It's not valid today.
And what's so interesting is you had mentioned this is the first asset class that we've seen in 150 years. And with all things technology, it evolves way quicker than the industry and regulation keep up. And we're talking DeFi, tokenization, DAOs, Meta, Web3. There's just so much coming at us as a society and for advisors. What do you think is next?
Well, that's really hard to say, other than to say whatever is coming next is going to come really fast. It's going to grow really quickly because of the nature of exponential technologies. I wrote about this in my book in 2017, The Truth About Your Future, talking about these innovations. And we're all now kind of used to AI and robotics and 3D printing and nanotech, biotech, bioinformatics. This subject, blockchain and digital assets, is the next iteration. And the exponential growth curve, the hockey stick, is what people are not used to. It took an entire generation to go from the agriculture to the industrial revolution. It took another generation to go from the factory to the office with the information revolution. We're now in the digital revolution. And it's not going to take a generation to do it, it's going to take 5 to 10 years. And we're already in year 3. So the speed of the adoption, because of the incredible growth of computer technology, is what's catching people by surprise.
Right, and what's so interesting, and even think about it with the ETFs, in the early 90s when they were created, and all the innovation that we've been talking about over the past 2 to 3 decades that you see within the ETF space, just to think that that's going to take place in 3, 5, 10 years with this technology, people have spent their entire careers innovating in the ETF space.
Exactly right, and we're now at the point with the speed and power of computers that we are now at that motivation. So, for example, tokenization is going to replace the global economy by 2030. Just within the next 5 to 8 years, most assets are going to be tokenized. And I'm not just talking about the world of NFTs, I'm talking about real estate, stocks. ETFs are probably going to be eliminated and replaced with NFTs because they're faster, they're cheaper, they're more transparent, they're more cyber secure. This is simply where the industry is heading, and all the major money management firms, the multi-trillion-dollar organizations, are all working on this technology. And we need to recognize what's coming so that we can invest now in advance of this so that we're enjoying the wealth that's going to be created as a result.
Okay, so ETFs will become NFTs, and we all know what the benefits of the ETFs are and so forth. How can fund management go into an NFT? When you think of NFT, I think of artwork and cool things that you see online.
Well, it's simply the nature of tokenization. We are more familiar with this than we realize. Look at IBM, multi-billion-dollar company. I'd love to buy it, but I don't have multi-billions of dollars. So what does IBM do? They carve the value of the company into millions of shares. Each of the shares are a few $100, easily affordable. Well, that's what the world of tokenization is with digital assets. They don't call them shares, they call them tokens. But it's the same thing. You can take a multi-billion-dollar building and carve it into hundreds of millions of pieces for $10 per token. And now you've tokenized a massive piece of real estate that was too expensive for you to buy and illiquid. Now it's affordable and it's liquid, tradable on a digital exchange. And if we provide unique features to that token, it becomes an NFT, a non-fungible token, that can have unique features such as the ability for you to rent a room, for the ability for you to allow access after hours, for the ability for you to engage in business activities that are unique and separate from other tokens of the same piece of real estate. People are going to be able to tokenize their own home to generate income without having to sell their house or do a reverse mortgage. We're going to be able to tokenize everything. And this is how commerce is going to be moving to a digital world fostered by the metaverse in ways we haven't even begun to predict. Keep in mind, Jill, that a year ago, nobody ever heard of an NFT. Until Beeple sold a painting, digital, at an auction at Christie's for $69 million, nobody had heard of an NFT. 9 months ago, nobody had ever heard of a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. 6 months ago, you never heard of the metaverse. What's going to happen 6 months from now, let alone 6 years from now? This is really exciting and disruptive all at the same time.
Rick, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.